welcome to this video. We'll discuss in this video about classical full employment model. It is my recommendation to you that you should watch another video on the classical economist and the sales law of market. The link is provided in the description of this video. So first of all, before seeing this video, you should see the background of that classical economist. Here we are moving towards the full employment model. We need to understand one or two things before we start with the full employment model. Understanding the thought of the classical economist. So the classical economist, mainly Adam Smith and David Ricardo, gave the classical model. The model was based on the sales law of market. So the sales law of market said that supply creates its own demand. It means in the classical model, the supply side model is given the preference. So whatever we are giving the understanding about the classical economists, it was prior to the Great Depression. So it is prior to the Great Depression, the thinking was whatever we are producing in the economy, it will be sold easily in the market. So we all are aware that this is not the situation in the present world. So first of all, we need to clarify that what was the basic notion of the classical economist. Here there are based on two important basic notions. The first is the classical model based on sales law of market. And the second notion is a wage price flexibility. So these are the two important or the basic notion the classical economist based upon. First of all, we will understand the sales law of market. In the sales law of market, as I've said earlier, the supply creates its own demand. It means there was no problem of overproduction, underutilization and unutilization of resources. It means economy will remain at always the full employment model. Now we need to understand what is the meaning of employment here. Here full employment means the capital and the labor and other resources of the economy is fully utilized in the production of goods and services. That is the meaning of full employment. So the two basic assumptions of this model is economy will remain always on the full employment, and if there is any disequilibrium, so the second assumption is if there is any disequilibrium, economy will self-correct itself. So the classical economist was based on the free market economy, that is laissez-faire. So the free market economy means without any government intervention or any trade union intervention. So this is very important because classical economists assumed that economy is under perfect competition. So now we need to understand what is the sales law of market. Now we are coming on to the next topic, that is a wage price flexibility. Here wage price flexibility means if there any lack of production or lack of aggregate demand, it means according to the classical economist, if there is less aggregate demand in the economy, the prices will adjust it quickly. Now what happens? The demand of the product is based on aggregate demand, but according to the classical economist, it is also based on the prices of the product. So that is the correct notion. But what happened when the aggregate demand was low? When the aggregate demand is low, it means prices will decrease and adjust itself correctly. So now what happens? The main question arises that how long the decline in the prices is tolerated by the firms and the producers. At one point of time, producer had to cut its cost. So now the cost cutting will start with the laying of the labor. When we retrench the labor, it means the labor cost will reduce. If labor cost will reduce for the producer, it means unemployment in the economy will increase. So if the unemployment will increase in the economy, what happened then? The supply of labor will increase. So the demand for labor already low. So what happens? The involuntary unemployment in the economy prevailed. But according to the classical economist, there was no problem of involuntary unemployment. Now the idea behind this wage price flexibility, that the labor cost or the wages will reduced, and so that everyone will get the employment. So here if the prices will reduce, all that is involuntary unemployed, they will get the employment in the economy. So these were the two basic assumptions and these are two basic notions. Now we are moving towards the model, full employment model. So first of all, we will learn about labor market equilibrium. This is very important. because classical economists assumed labor as one of the important factor of production in the economy. So we'll draw one graph of labor market equilibrium. So this is on the x-axis we are taking employment. On the y-axis we are taking real wages. And we are representing labor as N. We are putting D means that is demand for labor. Here NS means supply of labor. Here we are denoting labor with the alphabet N because classical economists did the same. Here that is NF. It means the full employment labor. It means no one left as an unemployed person. So NF. Here on the y-axis we are having real wage rate. Putting in a bracket. Now we need to understand what is this W0 by P0. Here wages represented by W, so we can write wages is as W. We are representing wages as W. Here prices is as P. Now what happened? Wages mean nominal wages. It means they are not adjusted to the rate of inflation. So we are just denoting W. But when we are denoting with that is real wages, it means the prices and the wage, nominal wage rate adjusted with the inflation in the economy. Because the real value is the most important thing. So whenever we calculate the real value, we have to divide with the price level. That is why the nominal wage rate and the real wage rate, that's different. So this is the price level, P0 is the timeline, so we can refer 0. So that is why this is W0 upon P0. Simple enough. Now this is the labor market equilibrium. It means demand for labor and the supply of labor. Now we consider that if the real wage rate will decrease. Suppose in the rough diagram, this is NS, this is ND, this is full employment labor, this is a real wage rate, W0 upon P0. You have the same particulars, employment on the x-axis and real wage rate on the y-axis. Now we are using with the different curve. Suppose the real wage reduced to W1 upon P1. So this is excess demand. Here we can say that this area is the excess demand. This one. Here we can write like this: A, B, C. We can refer D. That is E. We can refer F. So from D to F, this is the excess demand. It means demand for labor has increased, but the supply reduced to this point only. Now, if the labor force will go up, like for example, the real wage rate W2 upon P2 has a rise. Now here in this situation, GH, in this situation, the supply of labor is increased and the demand for labor is less. So this is what we called unemployment. So from H to G is unemployment and from D to F is the excess demand. This is the basic notion of demand and supply in the labor market equilibrium. So this is a diagram of labor market equilibrium. Now we will integrate the goods market and the product market in the classical economist. Now we'll draw this, we can refer as panel A. Now we are drawing panel B. So on the x-axis, the same employment. On the x-axis, employment. On the y-axis, we are taking aggregate output. Now if we draw this same line and carry forward this to the panel B, we are having the same, that is full employment labor. Now we have to draw one production function. So that is YF. If we join this line to the y-axis, that becomes production at the full employment level. So aggregate output, that is full employment level. So it means at the full employment of labor, we are able to produce full employment of output. Now we'll draw another panel. Here we draw one 45-degree line. This is 45-degree line. Now we carry forward this full employment line. To this horizontal. From this horizontal line, we have to convert this line to the vertical line. So that is why we have drawn this 45-degree line, in order to transfer this horizontal line to the vertical line. Now we are drawing panel D. This is your aggregate supply. Now the question arises, why the aggregate supply curve is vertically straight, or in simple word, why aggregate supply curve is inelastic. So the one notion is that classical economists assume that supply creates its own demand. It means in the long run also the supply remains fixed. So whenever the supply remains fixed, the curve will be of vertical shape. Now here we are taking prices. Here we are telling output. Now we have to draw aggregate demand curve. So this is the aggregate demand curve, cutting aggregate supply curve. So here we got the price P0. So on this y-axis the same thing, aggregate output. So I am writing in short aggregate output. And just to transfer this line, so that on x-axis that is also aggregate output. So we complete the diagram. So this is the diagram, static diagram, classical model. Now we will fluctuate the prices. If what happens when the price or the aggregate demand will shift, what happens? Because in classical model aggregate supply cannot shift, that is assumed as a fixed. So what will happen when the aggregate demand will shift upwards or the downwards? Now we'll see one modified version of this, just to make it dynamic, or just to give the taste of this classical static model to a dynamic fix. Suppose for example, if there is a rise in the money supply is introduced or released by or controlled by the Reserve Bank of India in India, and for any central bank of the country. Like for example in UK, central bank is Bank of England. So it is the sole authority to control the supply of money. Now for example, supply of money increased in the economy. So this is AD1. Supply of money increased from AD to AD1. Here M0V means money supply in some period, that is 0 period, and in the next period, that is M1, refer to money supply in period 1, that is next period. Here V means velocity of money. Velocity in simple words we can say that how money travels. It means how money changing hands. The same rupee note changing many hands in the economy. So that is how money travels in the economy. So velocity in simple words we can say that. Now for example, aggregate demand is increased due to increase in the money supply by the central bank of a country. If the central bank of the country increase money supply, it means lot of people get the purchasing power extra. So the disposable income will be more. It means a lot of liquidity is in the hands of the people. So aggregate demand will increase due to increase in the money supply. So that the consumption will also increase. So what happened? If the supply remains fixed, because in the classical economics, supply is fixed by assumption. It means because labor and capital already fully employed, this is the result of increase in the money supply. So labor and capital already at the full employment level, so that we cannot increase the output in the economy. So what happens? Just the prices will rise. So here we can say that prices will rise to P1. Now the effect of this rise in the price to the labor market equilibrium. So we can also see this labor market equilibrium. What will be the effect of this price rise on the labor market equilibrium? So whatever the price rise, the same will be the decline in the real wage rate of labor. So this is a W0 upon P1. Here we are writing W0 because nominal wage rate or the money wage rate remains the same, but the price level has changed. So price level change, due to this real wage rate will decline. So here what happens? The demand for labor will increase. So the demand for labor will increase. It means what happened? The real wage rate, the result of real wage rate, the labor demand will increase. So what happened? The assumption of perfect competition will lead to the increase in the demand for labor. So the increase in the demand for labor, so increase in the real wage rate after a few period of time or some period of time. Because increase in the demand for labor, lot of labor is availability of the labor is shortage in the supply. So whatever, due to among the competition among the industry, because classical economists assume perfect competition. So that is why the single assumption, due to competition among industries, the demand for labor will go up. If the demand for labor will go up, it means the real wage rate will rise and stabilize at the full employment level. So now what happens? With some period of time, because supply of money has increased only, so that is why it will be the effect only on the nominal variables. Now considering this, demand for labor has increased. It means the real wage rate, that is W0 upon P1, will change. So the price level remains the same, only the nominal wage rate will increase. So nominal wage rate W1 upon P1. So this will rise to the same level, W1 upon P1. Because demand for labor has increased, so the money wage rate will increase by the producers of the economy. So this will remain at the same level. So we can also write W1 upon P1 is same as W0 upon P0. It means the labor market will adjust it quickly with the price rise and changes the nominal wage rate with the rise in the price level. So it remains the same. So the conclusion of this model is that whenever we have changes in the nominal variables, we have no effect on the real variables. So here the real variables are real wage rate, employment and output. The only effect is on the price level. Hope you like this video. It is quite a long video, but this is very important for the examination part and also for the subject called macroeconomics. This model is fully explained in the very easy manner. If you have any doubt, any recommendation, any feedback, you can also mention in the comment box. Or if you want any other video to be covered in the series of this video, you can also say in the comment box. And for that, please like this video and subscribe this channel and also share it with your friends. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.